Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy Coop, back at it again with another absolute banger UFC predictions video. We have the UFC Baku card this week, Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres with the main event. Other than that, this card is kind of mid, I'll be honest with you. I like that fight. I don't really like a lot of the other fights on here. Charo Bullet versus Michelle Pereira. I mean, it'll be fun, but I feel like I know how it's gonna go. Anyways, we're going to hop into the early prelims. Starting off, we have Tahir Abdullayev versus Jefferson Nascimento. Honestly, both of these guys coming in, making their UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go ahead and go Jefferson Nascimento here. Just because I think the guys that he's fought in LFA are better than the guys that Tahir has fought on the regional scene. I just don't think that the, Middle East scene is as good as, LFA is going to be. There's at least some semi-proven guys fighting there, and some good guys have come out of there. So, yeah, that's my reasoning for going with Nascimento versus Abdullayev. I'm going with Nascimento over Abdullayev for that reason, because, I just think undefeated coming out of LFA, he's gonna be a little bit better. He's going to have seen, better levels of competition. Moving on up the card, we have Beksa Almakhan versus John Matsumoto. Why is this fight not on the main card? These guys are both, killers. They're prospects. They're decent. They've only ever lost to the best people, ranked people. I wouldn't say best, but still, some of the, they've only lost to top tier fighters. If I had to lean one way, I'd go Beksa Almakhan, just because I think that he's a little bit more well-rounded and he has a more of an X factor on the feet. But John Matsumoto doesn't look bad in the striking. His boxing's pretty slick. Really good jiu-jitsu. I think this is going to be a close, good fight, but if I had to lean one way, I'm going to go Beksa Almakhan. I think he's going to get it done by decision, just going to land a little bit more of the damaging shots, maybe have John Matsumoto looking a little bit more beat up, and that is what's going to get it done for him. But yeah, this is a sick fight. No clue why it's so early on the card. Moving up the card, we have Danil Donchenko versus Theodor Bergerin. Yeah, he was supposed to fight Andreas Gustafsson. I was so excited for that fight because that's literally just Marauder fight. That's a Marauder maxing fight. Both those guys are just gonna go in there, try and fucking kill each other. We're gonna see some fucking crazy elbows. We were gonna see just some crazy shit landed. And I think Danil Donchenko's still going to go out there and get it done versus Theodor, get a TKO. I probably would have picked him over Andreas Gustafsson, just because I think he has a little bit less quit in him. He's just a dog, and they're both going to go out there. It kind of just depended on who landed first and who landed bigger. But, yeah, I'm going to Danil Donchenko. I think he's a beast. I don't think he's ever going to, grace the top of the division, but I think he's one of those guys that's going to chill around the top 15 area, and right outside the top 15, and just put on nice fun fights that go on. I'll continue to get him on cards and get him on bigger cards. I could definitely see him fighting on the prelims of some numbered cards coming up. Moving on, we have Con Offley versus Javier Reyes. I'm going to be so honest, guys. I just don't rate Con Offley that good. I think that he just kind of gets beat up every single time that I see him out there. His last fight, I think he did pick up the win, but he just didn't look great. He never looks great. And I think Javier Reyes does have the power on the feet to get Con Offley out of there. So yeah, I think Con Offley is probably going to lose this by TKO. I think Javier Reyes is going to get this one done. I just think he's a bit more he has the X factor. I don't even think he's that much better than Con Offley. I just think that if he lands something big, it is going to put Con Offley on his ass, which I don't think Con Offley is going to have the same type of power to do that to Javier Reyes. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Moving on, we have Nursultan Nazarbayev versus Andre Puliev. I mean, Puliev didn't look terrible against Atiba Gauthier. That's all he really has. Nazarbayev, I think, is going to get this one done. I think, you know, he has less reach, but he is the bigger guy. Definitely, if you just look at their frames, you're like, okay, Nazarbayev's just like the bigger dude. I think if he gets a hold of Puliev, he's just going to be able to control him in the grappling, control him in the clinch, and it's going to, you know, it's going to be up to Andre Puliev to kind of just keep it at range, and I just don't think he's going to be able to do that. I think Nazarbayev is going to be able to keep that same kind of pressure style that Atiba Gauthier had. Obviously, he doesn't have that same exact power as Atiba Gauthier, but he's no slouch in the power department, and I think he definitely could, you know, sleep Puliev as well. And yeah, I think Nursultan Nazarbayev is going to get it done probably by decision. I think Andre Puliev is going to be backing up the entire fight, and I think it could make it really boring. So we shall see. Moving on, we have Abdulakram Yakyayev versus Julius Walker. Guys, Julius Walker fucking sucks. The last two fights that I've seen him fight, he just doesn't look like he should be in there. He's just throwing shit. He looks fucking nervous. He looks out of it. I'm going Yakyayev to get it done. I don't even think Yakyayev's that fucking crazy. Like, I don't think he's like, man, the undefeated prospect. Like, this guy's great. He's going to be a killer at light heavyweight. I think he gets chinned by like 90% of the fucking good roster. But with that being said, I think he is probably either going to just like absolutely nuke Julius Walker out cold, or he's going to just be able to control him ground and pound TKO, because I just feel like anytime Julius Walker gets into an uncomfortable situation, he just looks like he's trying to get out of there. I don't know if anybody else that like gets that vibe, but I feel like you have to if you just watch him fight. Moving on, we have Farman Hasanov. I don't know, man. These names, bro. Versus Eric Nolan. I think this is definitely a closer fight than some people are going to instantly, you know, assume based off the records of these guys. I could definitely see a world where Hasanov just takes him down, kind of smudges him, beats him up with the wrestling. But Eric Nolan's pretty slick on the feet. He's not bad. He's definitely the bigger fighter, and I'm actually going to pick him to get it done here. I think that he's going to land, you know, I think he's going to be able to land something big. He doesn't have a reach advantage, but he's got quite the height advantage. And if he just, you know, is able to keep it at range, I think he's probably going to be able to put a pretty good beating on Hasanov, but we shall see. Moving on up the card, we have Abus Magomedov versus Mikhail Olegzaychuk. This one I see going one of two ways. Either Abus Magomedov is like just pointing this one out. He's having like a really fucking boring decision where he's backing up and just landing the better strikes in the exchanges. Or Michael Olegzaychuk just fucking walks across the cage, puts a fucking pressure on him, puts a pace on him, and makes him quit. And I see that happening more often than not. I do think that if you watch any time or any film on Abus Magomedov, anytime that he's losing, it's to guys that are just putting a pace on him and putting him into just pure discomfort. Like, if he cannot be in even slightly winning scenarios, or if he's not in any sort of winning situations throughout the fight, he just slowly breaks and gives up more and more. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here, and I can see it happening early. I think that Olegzaychuk could just put it on him within the first 2-3 minutes of the fight and get him out of there. Yeah, that's my prediction. I think Michael Olegzaychuk's going to get a TKO. Moving on, we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira. When Ikram Aliskerov was undefeated, coming into the Robert Whittaker fight, and everybody was scared. They're talking about him like he's some fucking just unbeatable marauder that's coming to the middleweight division to come take the belt. And that's clearly not what happened. We've seen that he's just not that level, I guess. But I do think that he is at the level that he can pick up the win over Bruno Ferreira. I think Bruno Ferreira is a little bit chinny. Aleskrov does have good power. And he kind of has like a tricky... He'll load up shots from his hip almost and just kind of fucking wing it. And they're tricky. Like they do land he just lands nasty punches. And I could see him landing something big on Bruno Ferreira and getting a TKO. I see that happening more than Bruno Ferreira landing something big on Ikram. For some reason, I just don't see Bruno Ferreira being able to finish somebody like Ikram Aleskrov. But honestly, if I'm wrong, I don't really care. Like, neither one of these guys I'm super ride or die for. But I'm picking Ikram Aleskrov to get it done. Moving up the card, we have Asu Almabayev versus Charles Johnson. This, to me, is almost a 50-50 fight because Charles Johnson seems to have the magic ability to lose to a guy like this and then nuke out the guy that becomes champion. You know what I'm saying? Like, he nukes fucking Joshua Van out. He beats all these guys that he should should lose to, and then he loses to a bunch of guys that he probably should beat with the guys that he has beat on his resume. And I think Asu Almabayev, he's good, but I don't think that he's that... I don't know, because, I mean, his only recent loss is Manel Kopp. I want Charles Johnson to win, but I think he does struggle against a wrestler, and I'm going to have to pick Asu Almabayev to get it done by decision. I think he is just going to be too much in the wrestling department, in the grappling department. If it is on the feet, I see Johnson being able to get him out of there. I think he can get anybody in the flyweight division out of there. He clearly has power. But I think Asu Almabayev is going to be too much in the grappling, like I said, and I think that his grappling will allow him to, basically land the shots on the feet that he needs to. But the size advantage does kind of make me think that Charles Johnson may be able to physicality his way out of this one. Like I said, we're rooting for Charles Johnson, but if I had to put my money somewhere, I'd go Asu Almabayev by decision. Moving up the card, we have Nazim Sadikov versus Mateusz Camilo, or Matthias Camilo. I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Camilo versus Sadikov. Either way, I'll let you know right now, I'm going Nazim Sadikov. I just think he's more overall well-rounded than Camilo, and I feel like that's what it's going to come down to in this fight. It's, I don't think that one of these guys is supremely better than the other in any, striking or jiu-jitsu or anything like that. I think that each one of these guys is kind of on that same, they're on the same tier. It's a good matchup. But I think Sadikov is just a little bit better everywhere. I think that could lead him to just, obviously, if you're a little bit better somewhere, you're going to find those openings. You're going to find either the striking or the grappling that at least puts you in a advantageous position, or you're going to be landing the the bigger shots. And I think that that's what's going to happen here. I'm going Nazim Sadikov by decision. Moving up to the co-main event, we have Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Michel Pereira. I'm keeping it short and sweet with this one. I just don't rate Michel Pereira's cardio. He's dangerous for the first 45 seconds. There's a chance that he goes out there and flatlines Shara Bullet in that time, but I just don't see it happening. I think Shara Bullet's going to be, more than aware of that. He's also a pretty big dude, and he's going to just be ready to keep Michel Pereira at distance, beat him up for a while, and then, once it gets to that late second, third round, he honestly might not even get a chance to get there because Shara Bullet might land something big before then. But I think that if it does get to the later parts of the second round into the third round, Sharabulat's going to be like putting a pressure on Michel Pereira that he cannot keep up with. He usually breaks under that type of circumstance, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. I'm going Shara Magomedov by TKO. And now we move on to the main event, boys. We have Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. This fight I have been stewing on all week. I have kind of debated picking both guys, honestly. I could see a world where Manuel Torres goes out there and knocks out Rafael Fiziev, and it's a, you know, a big career moment for him. But I also see a world where Rafael Fiziev is just too good on the feet. He's just been in there with too good of guys, and you know, it's just Manuel Torres isn't anything new for him, and I do think that that is going to be the case more so than Manuel Torres going out there and landing something big. Yes, Fiziev's been rocked. He has been hit by everybody else that he's fought. Like, you know, he's the Gaethjes, everybody that he's fought, he gets hit, but it's just the fact that Torres, he's knocked out, what, Grant Dawson and Drew Dober, his last 2 KOs. Those guys are not on the level of striking even anywhere close to Rafael Fiziev, and that's the world that he has to. His main way to winning is through Rafael Fiziev's world, if that makes sense. And I think that Fiziev is just going to be too slick, too good on the feet. I think that he's going to be able to put a pressure on Manuel Torres. And I could honestly see a late... honestly, I'm going round 4. I think Rafael Fiziev is going to pick up a TKO, probably up against the fence, you know, in front of his home crowd in Azerbaijan. Because that's just... I don't know, man. It's just so... It's so hard for me to imagine Fiziev getting beat on the feet by anybody that's not absolutely top of the division, and I just don't think Manuel Torres is the top of the division. He's no slouch when it comes to the grappling department, but I don't think Fiziev's really a slouch either. I mean, he's been able to at least survive against some of the best in the world. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and pick Rafael Fiziev. I think he is going to get a finish in this fight. I just think that the experience and his overall just superiority in the striking game is going to be enough. Yeah, those are my picks. We're going to go back through, starting with the prelims. We have picked Nascimento, Almacan, Donchenko, Reyes, Ruzaboyev, Yakyaev, Nolan, Oleg Zaychuk, Aleskarov, Almabayev, Sadikov, Magomedov, and Fiziev. Those are my picks for the UFC Baku Fight Night card. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment, interact with the video, share it, do anything that you can to boost it for me. I would utterly appreciate it. Most importantly, though, of all, love you guys. Peace!